company to provide certain levels of protection for these people who work. Proper PPE, we have OSHA, we have other organizations that help to enforce these things. What we're advocating for with Twitch, right? And what the argument is what level should we allow Twitch streamers to accept risk upon their health? And I think it's absolutely okay for
No,
Twitch
it's
streamers who choose to
we
stream
are
for
not.
24 hours a day.
Okay, okay.
Topic 2. Amouranth leaked a personal conversation that she was having with her husband while on stream. Amouranth claimed that she was pressured to do 12 to 24-hour long streams by her husband for weeks straight. In any other business, these working hours would be considered abusive. Twitch seems more than fine with incredibly long subathons and never seems to take any action concerned for a streamer's health. Should Twitch impose limits on the amount of hours streamers can work to prevent abuse like this? Would it actually hurt streamers if they were limited? Or should everyone simply be responsible for their own welfare? I mean, like I was saying at the start, that's why I was going to call this the labor stream, not the best stream, but the labor stream. Because we're talking
Fucking
about
chest day, boys.
it's not the chest stream. It's a labor stream because we're talking about labor, right? So yeah, now we're talking about streamers. So maybe we could bring in that conversation again, Sproticus. But yeah, so there's a big controversy with Amouranth. To be very clear, this conversation isn't about whether she was abused or not, right? From my calculation, it seems that she was, right, from the evidence that's been presented, was very much abused, and I stand with Amouranth for that. I'm talking about necessarily like the responsibilities of Twitch, where people go for longer than 24 hours for their streams, right? This is a thing that happens. And what is the responsibility of the platform, if any at all? So, Chris, what you all have to say? Let's start with Lactoid.
Yeah, so I want to just I don't want to talk too much about it, but yeah, I mean, this from what the phone call I heard was pretty brutal. So I hope things go well for her. I also heard some things that I would hope would be illegal, but we'll see. I, I don't think the lesson to get out of this is that we have to limit what like people do for their millions of dollars. I think it's more about there are psychopaths that abuse people. That should probably be the lesson here. We should, protecting people from psychopaths, protecting people from abuse, not hey, I want to stream for this amount of time for millions of dollars, right? Millions and millions and millions of dollars. I think that's not when you put limits on that, when you say, no, sorry, you can't have your millions of dollars because I think you're working too much, it just seems super paternalistic. And I'm not a child, so I should be able to do what I want.
Thank you. Let's go, Scott, please.
Yeah, basically everything that Lactoid said. I'm in 100% agreement, right? If Twitch, see, here's the thing, like just follow this through to logical conclusion. Let's say Twitch institutes a ban on any streams longer than 10 hours, right? Well, first and foremost, what are those fucking streams? So you're gonna have all of these fucking like adjudication and extra hiring for like their like duck sanctuaries that are live streamed like constantly, right? Like you're gonna have to like figure out what's an unhealthy, like is it 2 different people, is it 3 different people, is it an event where there are people coming in and out and like there's not actually someone working 12 hours, all for this paternalistic need to protect people in these limit cases where they have someone with narcissism that's abusing and controlling them. It's silly, but even if that were to be implemented, you think Amaranth's abuser wouldn't just force her to switch to YouTube after 6 hours and then switch to fucking, and then like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, go to my website. I'm going to be a whore on OnlyFans. Like that's all that would happen. It wouldn't solve a single fucking problem. And it would cause them to spend more money, which would eventually either be put onto the consumer or onto the streamer. Like it's like advocating for all of us to make less money for no fucking reason for something that's not gonna fucking work. It's silly, and I think really it's just kind of like us trying to figure out a way to talk to mix politics with the Amouranth drama, right? Like, let's be honest, that's what we're doing here. And, you know, and the situation is pretty fucked for her. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, she's like the internet's most degenerate piece of shit, as far as we all know. And at the same time, she's also pretty fairly clearly a fucking abuse victim that may have been forced into this. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Hope she's all right. And yeah, I don't think that this would solve a single fucking problem and would just cause more issues instead of letting the market decide these things.
Yeah, so let's like not call Amouranth a whore. Let's like not do that. Let's not.
Isn't
Let's
she?
Let's call a moratorium on the whore talk. Maybe let's do that.
Well,
let's just try
what
that.
would you prefer
Let's-
I call her?
Yeah, call it a human being, a woman, Amouranth. Call her those things, right? Yeah.
My mom's a human being and a woman. She's not
Yeah.
fucking selling sex.
Sex
Okay,
workers.
sure. You can,
Sex
and you
work.
can,
Wait,
and you can,
what?
and I
They were
didn't. And
just
hey,
selling
hey,
sex
but
to
hold on, don't worry,
minors?
Scott. I didn't
What?
put a limit on calling your mother a whore, right? So if you want to do that, that's fine.
Right.
But like, let's like not call Amouranth a whore. Let's just
Guys,
not do
prefer
that.
to call her-
Right?
guys, wait one
Thank
second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm still
What do
listening.
you want me to
Right
call her?
Okay, gotcha. All right, Amaranth. Do
Sex
that.
worker?
Amaranth would work.
Amaranth?
Amaranth would work. Yeah.
Oh, so
Thank
we
you.
can't discuss the sex work at all.
No, we can discuss the sex work. It's fine. Like we're just not gonna call her whore, right? Just gonna call her. All right. Thank you. So, Wick, please. Go
At
ahead.
least not on Twitch.
Right? I mean, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. You
no,
might- you
not
might
on
get
this
in
channel.
trouble.
I'm sorry, not on this channel.
Yeah, it's
Don't
fair.
do it here.
That's fair. That's fair. Twitch loves their amaranths. They
Wait,
really do
please.
get a lot of money from
Please,
teenagers
come on, please,
for their
please.
amaranths.
Excuse me, please. Wick.
Okay. Yeah, so wow. Okay. Sorry, cleanse. Back to the subject at hand, right? So, there is no, I think, real solution policy-wise from Twitch's perspective to stop abuse, right? For the reasons Fabian and Lactoid laid out, right? It was mentioned in your chat, Uber doesn't let people drive more than 10 hours. This is very siloed into their specific area. So even if Twitch limited streams to being 12 hours a day or put other restrictions on this would not stop the abuse from happening, and it would stop people who, for whatever reason, wants to do a 24-hour
Hey, sorry,
charity
can I?
stream.
Well, 1 second before you go, continue on. I want to hear what you have to say, right? But I think maybe people have misinterpreted my question, right? So people like not like answer the wrong thing, right? So I said in the question, like at her working 12 to 24-hour long streams, in any other business, these working hours would be considered abusive. So what I'm talking about here in the sentence is not her like emotional abuse that she's receiving from her husband, right? That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to like in terms of work hours. So I said it's a labor issue. In terms of the work hours, like those work hours.
Okay, I get what
in
you're
other
saying.
industries.
No, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand. Okay, so well, in other industries, you're required. Like, if you want to keep your job, you have to work for X hours a day. Like, I don't stream for 10 hours a day. I stream for about 3, 5 when I come on your show, Prime. Like, this is a personal choice I've decided to make, based on like what I feel comfortable with. And the problem that Amaranth was feeling, well, like the pressure she was under, right, was twofold. One, she had the pressures, the external pressures we all face from our viewership and our audience to produce content, the kind of content they want, audience capture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are all pressures upon us. But she faced the additional pressures to stream longer than she wanted to, right? To the abusive hours due to her husband, allegedly, right? And I have every reason to believe her based on what I've seen, right? This is the problem here. If Twitch, like when we talk about like the reasons the hours in other industries are exploitative is because you are required to meet those hours. In Twitch and streaming, it's a different beast. Much like streaming is much different than voice acting, right? There are different things at play, different factors at play, right? That we have to take into consideration here. So Twitch streaming is not as coercive in the same way as a company that requires you to work 8 hours a day and do shifts would be if they upped your hours to like 16 hours a day required. That's my point, and that's where my case would lie. Is I do not think that streaming is the same as other industries, nor should it be treated the same as other industries when it comes to hours worked. Does
Thank you
that
so
answer your
much.
question? Is that where you wanted to go?
It's definitely closer. So thank you so much. I much appreciate it. Let's go to Spartacus.
All right, so Wick brings up Uber, and we're not driving here on stream. I wish I was as talented as other streamers, but I can't keep my 3 viewers while I sleep. So I can't really do sleep streams very well. So you don't really see me doing these 24-hour streams. But I mean, people do sleep streams. They sit there and they'll stream for a while, then they'll go take a nap on their couch and for several hours, and people will be in chat like, "Oh, look, cute, they're napping." I find it absolutely weird. And of course, my viewers probably do too, because if I tried it, I would probably end up with like 0 viewers, except for the one every now and then that comes to see what I'm doing, and it just
Don't
sees
worry,
me
I'll watch
sleeping, and
you.
then it like immediately clicks off.
Or a lot
So
more.
yeah, so but no, you can sleep.
Mm.
You can sleep when you stream. This is not the same as
Mm.
regular work hours. You can choose what you're gonna do. You can go do video game. You can you can even relax. You can just like sit there and watch YouTube if you want to. It just ignore chat, right? This isn't like it's like work. This is not. This is very much so a relaxed environment into which you can do what you want to do, given that you don't care about your viewers. But if you care about your viewers, you can be a little bit more restricted. But at the same time, Twitch shouldn't limit us as to whether or not we care about our viewers or not. I'm sure the people that have a 24-hour duck stream don't really care about the viewers. They more so care about everyone looking at their ducks. So it comes down to that. And Twitch should not parent us on whether or not we care about our viewers.
So much. Let's go to J Chow.
Yeah. So when I think about this kind of policy of, hey, maybe Twitch on their side should limit the number of hours for like how long streamers could actually stream, I started thinking about like what other countries have been doing in terms of like just in general internet usage. So like in South Korea, you could only stay on social media for so long, and that's like apparently tied to like your social security number. And then in China, they recently did something where if you're like a student or like under a certain age, then you could only play a certain number of like hours of video games on the weekdays or the weekends. And China and South Korea, well, like when it comes to like their politics, well, you could say that they're worlds apart. South Korea being like a liberal democracy and things like that. And certainly if Twitch wanted to limit how long we could actually stream, they could, so long as they want to. It's already within their TOS that like we can't stream certain things such as like profanity, or like violence, nudity, and things like that. And a number of these reasons has to do with health, the health of the viewers, the health of the streamers as well. And so then when it comes to like staying up 24 hours or even longer, I've been one to stay up multiple days doing assignments or even like doing streams. It's pretty grueling. It's pretty taxing. You feel like shit, and it's not healthy at all. And then like to have a company be like, okay, well we're going to allow this and not doing anything about it. Yeah, it kind of strikes me as weird. What's really nice that and Spark has brought this up is that like it used to be that when you did a 24-hour stream, that you were supposed to stay up. You were supposed to game through that 24 hours. You weren't supposed to sleep, take naps, take breaks. Like that was taboo against the 24-hour stream. But then nowadays, well, 24-hour streams, it's no longer like that. You are now allowed to take a nap. You are now allowed to sleep. You are now allowed to just like do regular things. Like Ludwig, when he did like his 30-day stream, his subathon, he was just like after the first couple of days, he just ended up doing stuff like taking a shower or like making food or just like talking with his housemates. And so long as I think so long as you're doing it in a healthy way, it's perfectly fine. Like showing your duck collection for 24 hours a day, it isn't like that unhealthy. It's not taxing on your body. But if you're like going to be staying up for 24 hours just to play a video game, like one, I'm going to start to judge you, but two, like on the Twitch side, like would you really want your streamers to do that? Like what if somebody died? What if somebody did that from exhaustion because they had no energy? What is then Twitch going to do? Are they going to be like, okay, well, you know what, it's their fault for doing that? Like of course they're going to take action. And so then I just think like the obvious answer is, hey, if it's a problem, they should do something about it. Duh.
Thank you, J Child. That's exactly where I want to take it. So thank you so much for that. Doobie, are you back? Okay, I guess not.
Actually, I
Frog
just
is
got back.
silent.
Oh,
Doobie's
wow.
Doobie's actually sleeping right now. He's taking a nap
Wow.
for his stream. It's just
Doobie.
really hard to tell because he's a frog.
Doobie, you're back?
Yeah, I'm back. I just got back like a few seconds ago. So I think it seems pretty like I think that like in any other industry, right? There would be regulations to say you can't do 12-hour, 24-hour straight stream. And we have like even like Uber or like DoorDash or whatever have limits on how long their contracted drivers can drive. Right? Truck drivers, same shit. Right? They don't want you overworking yourself, right? Because it's a danger to you and to everybody else on the road. But also there's like a lot of like mental and physical health issues that could come up just from overworking yourself, right? And I think it's strange that we put streamers in like a different category and say, hey, it's okay for this person, for Twitch to allow these people to basically self-harm on the platform, because it's not a real job or something, right? Which is I think basically the way that they look at it. So I think it's reasonable to expect Twitch to impose some kind of like restrictions on that. And if you were to say like, hey, yeah, she could just go to YouTube. Well, fuck, YouTube should do it too. I think there needs to be more like, not more, just like any fucking consideration paid to the mental health, physical health of the people on the platform, like who build the platform, who maintain the platform through their activity on the platform. And the fact these companies just get away with this, with like just totally like ignoring this issue, is I think really problematic. Another thing that like and the fact that like with the Amouranth situation specifically, is that on their platform, because they've allowed it to become like a lot of these streams are basically like advertisements for OnlyFans, right? They're very like explicitly sexual, like pretty clearly. And you hear a lot about like sex workers being pressured into stuff for their husbands or partners or whatever, right? And I think that this happening to Amouranth, because apparently she never wanted to do OnlyFans, never wanted to do bathtub streams, never wanted to do any of the sexual shit, right? And she was pressured into it by her husband, and then pressured to be more and more explicit by her husband. So the fact that we're basically like, you have Twitch benefiting from the what I think amounts to pretty close to like forced prostitution of a woman on the platform, and there's like no liability on their part, that they're allowing their platform to be a host of this shit, like at all. There's nothing, right? Like I think that's unacceptable. I think there should be some kind of protection. Should be some liability on Twitch's part.
So much.
Twitch supposed to know this?
The
though?
day has come, Doobie and I
How-
say almost the same exact
How is
thing.
Twitch supposed to know this? First off, and then second off, we're not drivers. Me falling asleep in my chair while I'm streaming has much less tragic consequences than me falling asleep in the driver's seat of a semi truck. Those are two very different consequences.
And let's talk about the abuse, right? Because I think this is I think the strongest point you have, Doobie, is that again, according to Amouranth, and I believe her, right? She was pressured into doing things she did not want, sexually explicit things she did not want. This was platformed by Twitch, and Twitch profited, at least indirectly, off of this. The problem here becomes like, fuck, I forgot my point. I was going on it, and then I lost
the problem
it.
here, Amouranth is pressured. And
okay. Yeah. So yeah. So okay. So the solutions to that aren't on Twitch's side. Like, if we want to limit abuse, if we want to provide more exit points for people who are victims of abuse and trapped in coercive relationships, coercive partnerships, and things like that, the solutions here aren't on liability. They aren't liability solutions. We got to look at providing more resources for victims of abuse, more of a social safety net for people who can feel comfortable to get out of these situations that they feel trapped in. If we can do that, that is where I think the solution lies, because trying to do this through a liability perspective is going to, what it's going to do is going to hurt those people who just want to make money showing off their goods. Like if I want to start an OnlyFans and only beards, right? And I wanted to make my show is just a 24-hour beard stream where I like run my hand through my beard and shit like that, I should be allowed to do so. It's about consent. And at the end of the day, if someone wants to do a 24-hour stream, because as Sprout said, the consequences for that are not nearly as severe as operating heavy machinery or other like driving, things like that. They should be allowed to do so, and simply because abuses happen is no reason to tackle this from a liability perspective. That's my point.
I want to clarify.
I'm gonna deal with this.
clarify
Okay, so
something?
consent. Okay, if it sounds like so long as there's consent, then it's okay. I
No,
disagree.
that's not true.
Just because
That's not what I said.
there's consent, just because it was someone's choice to do a 24-hour stream, doesn't mean that there shouldn't be some systems or organizations that will say, hey, no, you can't do that. And it's like,
So,
hey, for
let's
your
extend
example,
this.
for
Let's
no,
extend this.
no,
G-Chow, let's go with this.
still
Let's tackle this.
maybe after I finish talking. Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
if you want to do a 24-hour stream just rubbing your beard, if you didn't have like sleep deprivation because of that, if you didn't have like energy depletion because of that, like if you weren't like actually harming yourself, and you do harm yourself when you stay up for 24 hours, we all are in agreement on that, right? Okay, then
Okay.
all of a sudden you doing that 24-hour beard stream is no longer acceptable from a health standpoint. And like
Is
what,
it-
what
I-
Doobie,
but
what
what does
Doobie
streaming
and I,
have this to
what do, huh? Because when people are streaming and they're doing 24-hour streams,
I
staying
stayed up for
up,
24 hour
okay,
streams.
not, okay, yes, exactly, you did, and that was against your health, correct?
Not always. no.
Again, I'm arguing that just because you consented to doing that, just because you made the choice to do that, doesn't mean that it doesn't like allow
No.
the company who
What
is like
you-
providing you this platform to not limit you against to do that.
What you are arguing for is someone who chooses to stay up for 24 hours for whatever reason. You are arguing for like mandated bedtimes, basically.
Streaming itself
right?
is against your
Sure.
health.
Sure, and
Mandated
so is
bedtime.
Uber.
Like,
Apparently,
Well-
so is Uber. They're arguing for.
J-Chow.
They're implementing mandatory bedtimes as well. It's like, okay, it was like, yeah,
J-Chow.
you know what? Bedtimes is good. Go to fucking sleep, guys. Like,
Okay.
the amount
Memes-
the amount of people who I've had to deal with. And they're students, by the way, who tell me that like, oh, I was doing my assignment last minute. I stay up to like 4 a.m. I'm like, no, why the fuck
this
are
is
you
unhealthy
doing
for
that?
me too. Should
Why-
Twitch limit my ability to stream myself drinking Coca-Cola?
Hey, there are sugar taxes that exist for every single
Should
for
Twitch
every
limit my ability to drink Coca-Cola on
It's
stream?
not on. It's
J-Chow?
not. It's not
harmful.
on Twitch's prerogative. No, okay,
It's
we're dealing
harmful.
with Twitch and
I am
streaming.
hurting myself.
We're not
I
dealing
am
with
doing
you and
self-harm right
Coca-
now.
Okay. So
Hell
once
yeah,
again,
brother.
Okay. So
your
so
example is
here's
so
the problem.
stupid.
Why?
Here's the
Your
pro-
argument.
here's the-
your
here's-
argument. Just let me
here's
finish
the
this.
problem.
Let me
Once
finish
again,
this.
okay,
Your
sugar
argument
tax.
is 24 hours.
Sugar tax exists.
Your argument
okay?
is that
Why do you
24
have to go to
streams
Twitch
should
for
not
that?
be
Why does
allowed
Twitch have to be a
because it
liability for
harms
you
me.
drinking Coca-Cola?
That's
when
your
the
argument.
problem that we're
The
talking
crux
about
of your
is you
argument.
streaming
J-Chow.
on Twitch.
24 hours
J-Chow.
should not be allowed
Streaming.
because it harms
Why
me.
are you
Okay.
making this about
Also
Okay,
harms
okay,
me. So
okay.
why
You're
is this
so
allowed?
Oh,
and
okay,
24 hours
guys,
is not?
guys, please knock it off. All right, we got it. Lagtwood was
Can't
next,
believe
and we'll go to Scott.
I just wanted to clarify, just so we're all clear on how this works. So, Prime, I thought you were trying to compare it to other positions, other types of jobs in which generally you can't work over a certain amount of time. Now, that's not always true, right? There's a lot of jobs that are exempt from overtime requirements. Most of the time, you could still make your employees work more. You still pay them more. But if they make over a certain amount, or if they're in a particular field, or if they're independent contractors, I think that's an important part as well. There's all sorts of things that that can remove that requirement, make them exempt. Now, obviously, if you're a driver, you're under different requirements because of the hazard you pose to other people on the road. But so for example, lawyers are not under a overtime requirement. So and it's not unheard of at all for during trial weeks, 12-hour, 14-hour days. That's very normal for in this world. And people like on Wall Street, certain data analysts, my state has like a laundry list, like all agricultural workers, certain restaurant workers, yada 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 yada. Like you go down the list, and then also like groups of people who make more than this, groups of people that make more than this. There's all these exceptions, and the reason for these exceptions generally is the idea is these laws. Although I agree it should be just based on consent, there's also these laws which try to protect people who are in a weak bargaining position from being forced to work a fuck ton and not getting a bunch of money from out of it, right? At least not what the state thinks that they're worth, which is why they can work extra. They just have to be paid extra. The problem is Amouranth is making millions of dollars, so she would likely be exempt. And I mean, even if we made Twitch pay her time and a half, I mean she could still be doing 12-hour, 24-hour streams.
So what difference does it make how much she's working, right? And I'm trying to expand this beyond just Amouranth. Like that's why I'm trying to make this like a labor issue, just an opportunity to talk about labor. Sorry, I'm getting some little static from someone.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
Well, we can talk about labor, right? The reason why they have the pay requirements there is, again, because the logic goes that we don't want people working a fuck ton if they're not making commiserate pay. Because logically, if you were making a fuck ton of money, we're not going to feel very sorry for you if you have to work a whole bunch, or you can just not work a whole bunch, especially if you're a streamer who you are in control of your own hours, similar to like a plumber, right? Are we really going to go stop a plumber if they work more than 12 hours a day fixing leaks?
Well, we might, because look,
we don't.
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying we might want to.
Wait. I'm making a should argument, and you bring up that we don't, as in like that's in reality. Okay.
Sure. So you're saying that like if a plumber's out there and he's had a fuck ton of coffee, he's a good worker, he's worked 12 hours, he's not putting anybody else in harm. You're saying that like we should have like who's gonna stop him? Like he owns his own shit. We're gonna like send the cops to go like you can't work anymore, like go to bed. The cops are going to tell this guy to go to bed.
Mandatory bedtime.
I see a problem. I see a problem with like the law enforcement coming in to enforce something. So then, like, probably my angle would be let's try to create like a social norm of like, hey, let's not overwork ourselves. Like, it's not worth the money. Like, there's always another day. Like, why couldn't we just be reasonable, like, as people to believe in that?
Let me try to take a different angle with this. So Lactoid, so if that plumber was working for like a plumber company, right? Like a group of plumbers, right? I don't know, Roto-Rooter, I think that's the one. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
like that,
yeah. But and they were forcing them to go for 12 hours, right, or longer. Then yeah, I might want to stop them. I'm trying to figure out where if liability lies anywhere, right? And maybe it doesn't. Maybe it lies nowhere. But so, I'll just get to DB right after this. Like if streamers were like doing 24-hour streams, just for example, and they were dropping dead from heart attacks, right? Would it be the case that Twitch has no liability, right? Has literally nothing to do with this. So if they're just dropping dead, right? They're doing just regular thing. Maybe they're just stroking their beard for 24 hours, right? And then they literally die. Will we say that as a publisher, they have no responsibility, or platform, excuse me, they have no responsibility? Go ahead, you can respond.
So I think you said something interesting when you said, what if there's like a firm of plumbers like Roto-Rooter who's forcing this guy to work more than 12 hours? Now, obviously, like the libertarian answer is, well, you can just quit. You're not being forced to do anything. But this isn't even that far, right? It's more equivalent to you're a plumber, you pick whatever hours you work, and we're never going to fire you, even if you don't work anything. Because that's Amaranth's position. She can choose literally, I mean, other besides this, psychopath or whatever. Right?
Abuse.
Yeah, we have to go out. We have to go after him. But it's not like Twitch is doing this to her, right?
Yeah.
Twitch is not like saying you have to stream this many hours a day, otherwise you're off. It's more like, for most streamers, it's it's up to you. Like you're not going to come after you. We're not forcing you to stream a certain amount a day. And if you want to make more money, like put in more hours, right? So that's more that's like a more comparable thing. The comparison would be like a Roto-Rooter employee who is
sets their own hours.
Sets their own hours, and then they have some abusive spouse who's making them work more. Are we really going to go after Roto-Rooter, or are we going to go after the abusive
Well,
spouse?
if through Roto-Rooter they're getting their jobs, right? Because that's how they're working. Right? They're working with Roto-Rooter to get their jobs, just like Amouranth is working through Twitch to get her donations, right?
Viewers, yeah.
And they notice that this person has worked 36 hours straight, right? And they're just like keep getting them jobs, and then this guy drops dead. Yeah, maybe they might. Roto-Rooter should have some sort of liability. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here? They ask no questions. If all their plumbers in this case were working extreme hours and then like dying, will we say that they have nothing? Like, oh well, they just took the jobs and I guess whatever, right?
So I would say so, because like, for example, like going back to my experience, I guess, during those trial weeks in which I'm working 12 to 14-hour days, it's incredibly stressful, right? The only reason I'm putting in that amount of time is because I want to win and, do good for the person who's paying me. And if I was so stressed out and I dropped dead, I don't think the client should like be responsible for my death, right? I mean, they're paying me to go do work for them, but ultimately, like, I chose to take on the job. And in this case, although it's not entirely the case with me that I can set my own hours, this person can, obviously, besides the fucking psychopath, which maybe should get arrested by the police. But that's not Twitch. I don't think that's Twitch, right? That's not Twitch.
Are we gonna blame OnlyFans though? Because really, Twitch was part of a ploy to advertise for OnlyFans.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I want to continue.
Hold on. I want to let in Doobie, because Doobie was next, and then we'll go back to you. On Spartacus, that static thing was coming from you, so like maybe it's like air on the mic. I don't know.
I'll look for it.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Doobie, please.
So I guess what I'd ask, I've got the dogs barking. What I'd ask Lactoid is, so if that same, it's kind of what Prime asked, right? So if that plumber wasn't being forced by anybody, but he was independently working fucking 30-hour shifts, right? Just working himself ragged, and he was hurting himself, right? Because he started to fuck up. People were still hiring him. He's still doing the work, and the only damage he was doing was to himself. Isn't there like some, at some point, we need to say that, hey, this person should not be working, and there should be a governing agency that comes and says, hey, you can't work anymore because you're fucked, right? You're working yourself ragged. You need to take a break, right? I think that's reason one. I think that with Twitch, the reason I think it makes sense here is because you have people on stream like Amouranth, but like other Twitch streamers. It's part of the Twitch culture now, right? I'm gonna do a 24-hour stream, a streamathon. It's part of the culture, right? And you have people basically doing self-harm on the platform as part of the culture. Right, which is pretty fucked. It's like an accepted part of the Twitch like atmosphere, right? So given that this is happening on the platform, like, is there any responsibility from Twitch to say, hey, you can't use our platform to self-harm in public?
I don't think it would apply for sure. I don't think it's self-harm whatsoever, even if it's like 14-hour days, because you have people with incredibly high work ethics. Maybe they want to go that extra mile, make that extra money, and make the extra money for working 14-hour days, like people in my industry sometimes, right? I could see the argument that somebody's self-harming if they're 4 to 8 hours in and they haven't slept. Sleep deprivation could like maybe be argued as like a health risk there. I get that argument, but I also think about, and this might be an argument that you guys won't like, but when you choose to go into an industry, there are certain risks that you accept while going into that industry, right? So even if you're streaming 24-hour days on stream, your job is not as dangerous as like a commercial fisherman or a lumberjack, or like in the military, right? There's jobs that you can do that, or being a driver, right? Like there are jobs you can do that are just incredibly dangerous, and you make a lot less than Amouranth does, and you work sometimes more, sometimes you work a lot less, but the overall risk to your health is dramatically higher. And it seems weird that we would draw the line when it comes to streaming, right? Like, no, like streaming 24 hours, that's too dangerous. While we're accepting the fact that certain people are like, getting their heads cut off, using lumber equipment, which just comes with the job.
I'm saying we shouldn't accept that, right?
You have to, otherwise you don't have lumber.
Wait, hold on. But I'm saying that if those people were working 24-hour shifts, even if they were like independent contractors, right? And it was like, hey, the only person they're putting at risk is themselves. Then we should say, hey, we're not going to accept this. We need to have regulations say you can't work 24-hour shifts. So you're going to fucking hurt yourself.
Right, but doing the job to begin with.
pulling that to Twitch, right? And I think a lot of the I think people tend to ignore the risks that come with having like a Twitch platform, and I don't, right? But I see it. Is you're putting yourself out there in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, right? And the shit stays on the internet for fucking ever, and this leads to a lot of people having like a ton of mental health problems and mental breakdowns on stream fucking constantly. Like a lot of the Twitch discourse is who's having a mental breakdown this week.
Yeah, I
In
get
public,
it.
for all of us to talk about and look at, right? So,
I get it.
So there is a risk here to these people. We can't just say that it doesn't exist, I think. And given
I'm not
that,
saying it
that
doesn't
Twitch,
exist.
that there's like an incentive from Twitch's end to not only encourage these people, these mentally unwell people, to continue streaming, but then have long streams because Twitch makes money from their advertisements or whatever the fuck. And then there's like an incentive within the culture to highlight these mental breakdowns and shit, because it fuels the discourse and gives them something to talk about. I think it's silly to just ignore all this and say, hey, well, they're doing it to themselves. So even if it's happening on their platform, Twitch's platform, Twitch should be able to just wipe their hands of it.
Doobie, can I ask you a question?
Oh, sorry. Oh, let Twy finish. And then it's Chow. And then wait.
So it might be difficult when we're talking about somebody who
Sorry,
makes.
did you have? I didn't. Sorry, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry. Did I?
Before Lactoid started talking, and you were like, "Yeah, I got you."
Oh, I did. I don't think I pointed to you.
It's fine.
I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose.
So it might be different when we're talking about somebody who makes so much money that like they very well may be better off just overall not doing 24-hour streams. But if I start my own lumber company, I think it'd be ridiculous to mandate that I mitigate the risks as much as possible, even if it affects my finances. So like you could make being a lumberjack incredibly safe. If I'm out chopping trees, you could say, okay, a new government rule, in order to go down and chop trees, you have to wear a full suit of like power armor that you have to buy. So then you cannot be hurt by any of like the fucking lumber machinery. That'd be ridiculous. And I would say, well, I'm not going to make money off that, right? I'm not going to make enough money now doing what I want to do in order to live. There's a lot of streamers, maybe not Amouranth, but maybe some other streamers who are like more mid-level streamers who, like, if you limit how much they can stream, like you might be trying to do good, but now you just fuck them over a huge part of their income that they rely on to survive.
Oh, hold on, but if that income is being generated through their public mental breakdowns and continued like mental self-harm, then yeah, I think it just is what it is. Right?
What if they have the mental fortitude to
I can think of
handle it?
Plenty of people do not. Right. So
then those particular people,
plenty of people start with that mental fortitude and it gets worn down by the grind, and at some point they fucking snap. Right.
That's jobs.
There are a bunch of people that we can go through. Somebody very specific that I'm thinking of right now, who had like a weeks long or months long mental breakdown on multiple streams, was propped up by streamers who wanted to draw attention to the mental breakdowns.
Oh, I know what this is.
And it was awful to see, but it was totally acceptable within Twitch's guidelines, and Twitch had no responsibility for allowing this person to self-harm and to be predated on by all these other streamers who wanted to make them like a spectacle. Right? I think when you have a public platform like this, right, and you're supposed to be in control of what's happening on that platform, you're the publisher, right? You do have some responsibility when people are literally self-harming on your fucking platform. If these people started cutting their wrists on the platform, you'd have responsibility, I think.
Doobie, if you have evidence, I'm not sure I even buy the premise, but even if I do, the only solution there would be if you have evidence this person has a actual problem or is like showing they're being a danger to themselves or others. That's like, that would be when you can intervene. Like maybe if someone's like a raging alcoholic, like some fucking streamers I can think of, like who took it way too far, maybe that would be like a line that Twitch can be like, okay, like this person has to stop fucking drinking Jägermeister on stream and like doing like really rapey shit. Like you can't do that, right? That you're obviously have a real fucking problem. But like me with one beer, I mean, I'm obviously like, this isn't a reason to ban all like, bottles of beer on stream, right? I mean, some people don't have an issue with it.
But
it's my industry. Everybody in this fucking industry is alcoholic.
So
and all of them, except for me.
Let's go to Doobie. Doobie, you can respond, and then we'll go to Scott, Childwick. Okay, all right.
I think it'd be reasonable. So if Twitch has an issue with people getting drunk on streams and fucking up their lives or humiliating themselves and doing a ton of like self-harm, either to their public image or to their mental health, right? Because they're getting drunk on streams and people are taking the clips and putting them fucking everywhere. I think it's reasonable for Twitch to say, hey, if you're going to stream on our platform, you can't be drinking alcohol, you can't be getting high, can't be doing weed or mushrooms or whatever the fuck you're doing. We don't want this stuff on our platform because we don't want our platform to be the kind of place where people come to watch like train wrecks, right? But I think the reality is that is kind of what Twitch wants sometimes, right? Unfortunately, but if that's what they want, I think there's some liability that should come with that.
I don't think
Let's go,
self-humiliation
Scott.
is
Scott.
self-harm, though.
Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, so weirdly enough, I'll agree with Doobie here. I don't really see a problem if Twitch wants to institute the rule themselves, right? I mean, like if Twitch decides for whatever reason that that's what they want to do, sure, do it. It's not in anybody's interest. It's not helpful to anybody. You know, like if Twitch wants to kill their platform faster by getting rid of content that people demand, which is long streams and things like that, so that they can go to their competition and end up on Cozy or Comfy or some new site or YouTube, etc. Right? Like it's not really a smart move for them. Furthermore, like the policing of it is going to cause them to have to hire additional staff to be able to figure out like who's actually streaming for that period of time, unless they just want to make like a blanket ban on all streams that they have a certain time limit. And that's going to cause even more people that do different types of content that this is a complete non-issue to, like 24-hour duck streams or something, right? To just go to YouTube and be like, oh, well, Twitch banned my type of content for no fucking reason. So we're going to just do the 24-hour stream on YouTube and it'll just kill the platform faster. The other thing is like this idea that like 24-hour streams are like this terrible thing. 3 of us are fucking military veterans. Like we've done CQ shifts, right? Like it's much more like a CQ shift than it is fucking like driving a vehicle. You sit at a fucking desk, you answer things, you take fucking names when they come into the barracks, and you just fucking chill, fuck around on your phone, and you do some cleaning, and then you get the next day off. Like you set your own hours. The other thing is also 8 hours, 40 hours a week of concrete work is far more damaging to your body than doing a 24-hour stream once a week. I'm sorry, like just regular construction work ruins your fucking, especially concrete work. You're likely to get silicosis. You're likely to get like mesothelioma. You fucking destroy your knees. But people do that. They sacrifice their body. That's what working is you give up your body so that you can make profits, or that you, or not profits, so that you can make a wage, so that you can do the things that you want to do. And the idea that like Twitch should step in to engage in something that's not going to fucking work anyways, to fix a problem that is like this perceived problem, is not the answer. The answer is you, the consumer, the person watching PrimeCayes right now, when it gets to be 6 o'clock in the morning, telling PrimeCayes, go to fuck to bed because I'm going to bed too, watching PrimeCayes' views drop at 6 a.m. and then him being like, you know what? People want me to go to bed. I should go to bed and I should get some rest. And then maybe I can show up on time for my fucking, for my Reverie because I'm not so fucking sleepy and I got shit done. Like that's the answer. Like, and you know, because the idea also that like Twitch is incentivized to allow this. No, they're fucking not. Like people move from one stream to another. Like, I mean, I don't have the market research on like what percentage drop site as opposed to drop to another streamer. Like maybe they're financially incentivized to a certain point, but like, I don't know. I'd need to see that research that there's like this big profit they get by allowing these streams. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so the Chow, and then
Okay, so there's been multiple times in which people bring up that there are more dangerous jobs out there, which is a non sequitur because it does not devalue the harm that you do to yourself when you stay up for 24 hours. And for those kinds of jobs, well, we would argue that there ought to be regulations that makes those jobs a lot safer. When it comes to the lumberjack, maybe you shouldn't be cutting down trees at night. Or if you are going to, maybe you should have like ample lighting to make sure that like when you cut down a tree's not going to fall on you and kill you. Like we have standards and practices that yes are going to cost companies initially money, but it's all for the sake of like safe labor practices. It's all for the sake of like having a society that like we're not just going to have like capitalism that doesn't care about lives and only cares about profits and what is the cheapest way of doing things. So then, like, when it comes to, and I think Doobie like keeps on hitting the nail on the head. Like when it comes to Twitch having a platform and knowing that there are people who are essentially committing self-harm to themselves, even though it is consensual, even though if it is like themselves chosen, then like yeah, I would say that like that's kind of weird. They should do something about that. And like I think this should also be just like a general industry platform. You should do this, Coast, you should do this. Like all these live streaming platform companies should be doing this.
You
It's
think
like
Cozy
not
cares what you
Well,
said?
like,
Okay,
my-
no.
well,
okay. Well, no,
Wait,
wait.
question,
Cozy not
why is
caring.
that
Hold on,
your
hold on,
line?
no. Cozy not
Where's your
caring
line?
does not devalue my argument. Okay, that like it should do that. All right.
Where's
So
your
like,
line?
So,
Right, because
Oh
I
yeah,
gave
I
beautiful,
really-
beautiful. Okay,
Relax,
no. I want to
Jay
answer
Chow,
this
Jay
question.
Chow.
Wait, shut the fuck
Jay
up.
Chow,
Okay, where's the
relax.
line?
Jay
No,
Chow,
where's the line?
fucking
Where's
relax.
the line?
Kid, relax.
You're supposed to be a kid.
Wh-
Okay,
Yes, I did,
all
because you're acting like a kid.
grown ass
relax.
adult man. Okay, wise of all. Okay, so then when it comes to the
listen,
line,
you-
Jesus
I gave
fucking
you an
Christ,
example.
dude,
Sorry.
I'm answering your question
just
calmly.
relax
What
Did
the
you-
for a
fuck?
second.
Okay, hold
Oh
on.
my
Hold
God.
on,
Okay,
hold
I'm
on.
just gonna
Scott, did you
chill.
get your question out?
Chill.
I'm not sure. Hold on,
No,
wait.
no,
Scott, I'm not sure you got
hold
your
on.
question out, so you can get
Let
the.
me
You want to
mute.
answer his question? That's fine.
I'll be
Scott,
quick.
get your
I'll
question
be
out so
quick.
you can answer it.
I'll be quick. So I gave you an example of like regular work that is obviously more harmful than the other. And your argument is that there should be some sensible regulation. But my question is if you don't care about voluntarism, you don't care about what people are voluntarily choosing to do, and you believe that the government or platform should step in at some place, like where is that line for you in terms of like what is damaging? Because it can't be any damage because work is damage. So like what is an acceptable level that you think Twitch needs to regulate and why?
Okay, I've listened to Fabian's question and I've muted him. So where do I draw the line? I don't think answering Fabian's question is actually that helpful because it has something to do with like government policy and other jobs. What I do want to answer though is what Lactoid was
Pussy.
bringing up, which like he kept on bringing up that like we're going to be limiting like the amount of revenue that streamers are going to be obtaining because we are going to like not allow them to do 24-hour streams, which is just not true because we actually haven't even like established what is that line, like what is like a proper maximum limit that we would want
Yeah, I asked that
streamers
question.
to stream for like per day. And I don't think
And he's
like
refusing.
this is an educated answer, but it's one that like I've thought about. I think like a good healthy maximum number of hours per day would be 8 hours. I think beyond 8 hours is just like too much. You need to be able to sleep. You need to be able to like do your chores, take care of yourself, like
You need
care
to
for
sleep
your family
16 hours a day,
in all
guys.
things.
60 hours
Whoa,
a day.
whoa,
is
okay,
sleep
okay.
schedule.
Oh, wow, okay, Spartacus. If like your idea of living life is like stream 8 hours and then sleep, wake up, stream, and like you're not shitting, you're not drinking, you're
What
not
if
like
someone
hanging out
wants
with
to be a
friends, like,
workaholic?
oh,
What if someone wants to be
my
a
God.
workaholic?
It is like, dude, like not like 9 to 5 is 8
What if
hours.
someone wants to
like,
work?
Like imagine if like I told you that like yo, a standard like Monday to Friday work hours life is 9 to 5. That's 8 hours. Like what? 8 hours? What are you gonna do for the
What
rest
if I
of the hours?
told you
Just
every
sleep 16
successful? What
hours?
if I told you
Like,
every successful
what?
person didn't only work 9 to 5? What if I told you every person that's actually made it successfully didn't just work 9 to 5? They worked outside of those hours too. What if I told
Again,
you that?
okay, success. Okay, I'm not really so concerned
Dude,
about like the
he's just
success
memeing.
of people doing
He
jobs
already
and, like,
said a
whether or not
30-day
they're making the
Ludwig stream
big
was
bucks in
fine.
life or not. Like my main concern on this topic
Like,
is health.
He's just
And like when
memeing.
it comes to Twitch
doesn't
as
care.
a company and like them regulating their
But
platform,
that's not your
then
concern.
like I think no, of course it is my concern.
Then why are you
When
not
has it
concerned
been
with
concerned?
people drinking on
Sure.
stream?
Wick, it's your turn.
Okay,
Which
so
way?
then let's.
Why
so
are
then-
you
oh,
are
yes. Okay, no,
May I finish my
wait,
point?
stop.
No, I
No,
guess
you
not.
don't, you
I
don't.
guess not.
Drinking. Okay,
So,
let's do with
Jay
drinking. So
Chow.
Lactoy before mentioned that like, hey, I'm allowed to drink 1 beer.
Cheers.
Okay, that is fine. Twitch says that is fine. But like when you're getting shit faced and you're throwing up and like you're collapsing on yourself and you're just saying like not even saying anything, okay? When you're like actually committing self-harm when it comes to drinking, that's when it becomes a no-no. You get banned for that. The Smash Melee player, a streamer, Mango, got banned for
I'm
that.
not drinking
He wasn't
alcohol,
even
dude.
shit-faced, okay? He was
Drinking
drinking
Coca-Cola.
alcohol. Okay, I was talking about
Yeah, but that's not what I
lactoids
asked you.
example.
So,
Okay,
I'm not asking about lactoids
and then I'll
example.
bring you,
I'm asking about mine.
I'll talk about your stupid sugary Coca-Cola shit. Okay,
It's
whatever,
harm.
okay,
I am
and guess what?
lowering my
Yeah,
life
it is,
expectancy right
and you
now.
know what, Wick? It is harm. You are committing a self-harm. Okay?
Should I be banned for this?
And you are
for
being
drinking on
really, you are being really stupid. You know what? I get it. Okay, caffeine addiction
That's
is a thing.
that's a good
I was
question.
in
Like,
it before. and
why
I
should
really, I really hope,
not be banned for my health, for my
that you
own
get
sake?
out of it. I really hope that you get
For
out
my
of
own
it. Okay.
sake, why
So
should I
So
not
then
be banned
lactoid.
from drinking
So
on
then
stream?
lactoid. Like, okay.
Can I answer? real
Okay,
quick?
Twitch says that
I
you
get the
can't
point.
get shit faced. You can't get shit faced,
No,
or else
yeah.
it's bannable. Okay, and I think the
We all get it,
extreme,
JChao.
the equivalent extreme of drinking too much is streaming too much, like doing a 24-hour stream.
Does anyone here think
Okay.
JChao needs a beer to?
So okay,
Well,
okay.
yes.
So I
have my-
hold on, I gotta get Wick in. Wick has been waiting. Lactoid, you can answer afterwards if you want to engage, please. Wick.
Please. So the problem I'm having here, right, is it comes to who gets to decide what is too much to stream. Like some people, this
Okay.
is their hobby. It isn't even their job. They don't make any money on this. They just want a place to have a community where they come on, they play some video games, and then they're done. Right? They are not
Hi, me.
monetizing it. They're not incentivizing it. And to Doobie's point earlier, right? I would like to know what precisely that Twitch as a company is doing that is incentivizing or causing that is causal to people abusing people's mental health. Now, I will say, I will agree with you. That's gross. That's gross. That example you gave, I'm familiar with it. It was gross. I have no respect for anyone who engaged in that kind of passing around a victim, right? Like that. I think that was gross. But at the same time, right? What mechanism or what policy or what was in place that Twitch had that caused this to happen?
You want
I
Dewey
think
to answer this, or
Well, I think it has a lot. So there are two things. So Twitch obviously has an incentive to draw like an audience, right? To stream.
Sure, but we could see
Streamers also have this incentive. Please,
Yeah,
streamers
no.
also have this incentive, right? Which is, I think, why that passing around of that victim happened. In fact, I don't even know if I feel comfortable calling them. I think those people victimize that person, right, more than the original person. Okay, to be clear. So, those people passing that victim around, and making content out of like the emotional mental breakdown that was clearly happening long form on many streams over the course of like weeks or months, right? And people picking at the scab when things calm down to reignite it because it was great content for them, right? This kind of shit. I think that Twitch should have a policy where if this is going on and there's evidence of it, they should ban the people that are doing this, first off, taking advantage of that person. But they should also temporarily suspend the person having the mental breakdown, and say, hey, if you have some mental health shit going on, you can't be on the platform until you're stable, and then we'll let you back on. You can like give you like a month break or something.
There goes Twitch poll. We all have mental issues.
That's
right?
fine. Yeah, that's
100%.
That's a
Right,
little
mean,
mean.
if kill
That's a little
Twitch
mean.
poll.
Twitch poll, quote unquote, is really just propped up by people making like a spectacle of mental breakdowns, then it
No,
shouldn't exist.
I was more memeing on we all have like.
I'm not
mental
memeing. I
issues.
think that is a lot of Twitch bullshit.
I think that
right?
that when it
And
comes down to it,
I
that's
think a lot of
drama.
Twitch discourse is, hey, who's having a mental breakdown this week, and how can we turn that into content?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
that
gross.
is
But
it.
how?
And I respect Prime a
again-
lot for not engaging with that shit, because that
Yeah.
is something that Prime, like I've brought it up with him before, and he actively refuses to touch that shit,
Good.
which I think
No,
is
we
beautiful.
like that. But the problem comes in when we try to mandate or we try to advocate for a company to mandate, right? Like what is considered abuse of someone
It's not
having
that
a mental
difficult.
breakdown.
What?
It is difficult.
Wait,
hold on.
wait,
So
wait.
Wick,
Twitch
if-
mandates. Twitch has a standard of what is violence and what isn't. Was that so difficult?
or what is just harassment?
Do you think
Right?
that
So
Twitch
somebody is
TOS
please,
good?
if somebody's
Wick,
verbally
I
harassing
think
another
your
person
problem
on
is that,
stream,
like-
right, with like
Well, my
slurs or
problem right
insults
now
or
is I
whatever,
can't get a word
Twitch
in.
has
so.
a policy that says, hey, if you're harassing another person on our platform, we're gonna ban you from the platform. Why couldn't you?
Well, we can see how that's worked out, right? We can see how that's worked out. That Twitch
I think it typically works out fine.
No, that's not true at all. Twitch's record with toss enforcement is abysmal. It's abysmal. It's people getting banned for the smallest shit, and people getting away with huge shit.
These are the things that you see, right? But Twitch
That's
does a
the
lot.
only data we have.
No, okay, no, it isn't.
Twitch,
No,
Twitch
it isn't.
used to be
You're
such
talking
like
about
a
the stuff that
more
happens
toxic place.
within your like sphere, right? But as there's a Twitter account called like Twitch bans or something, and all day it's putting out people banned from Twitch that you never fucking hear about, right? And most of these people, I'm sure if you look them up, they deserve to get fucking banned. Right?
Where,
so
again, you say that like you're sure, but I disagree.
You say like you're sure that it's not,
Okay.
and you have like no reason to believe that.
Okay.
No, the reason I have to
Wick,
believe that is because I've seen
Wick,
it
do you
happen
know
over and
Destiny?
over again.
You know Destiny, right?
I know who
Okay,
Destiny
Stephen
is, but I don't
Bond
want to
II.
talk about
Okay.
Destiny right now.
Okay, well, I want to bring up something that he often says about like the culture of Twitch, as in like the behavior of Twitch streamers is like compared from back then when it was just like the Wild West and like you had like the most profane shit going on being said by people, and like what was acceptable back then was a lot more toxic. Like Twitch has from his experience, from what he says, and I believe him because he's been doing this for a long time, is that like it's been a lot calmer, and like
It's been a lot
think
quieter banning all those people.
yeah, maybe, but like
While they
that's a
moved to
part of
other
the that's a part of
platforms.
the enforcement system. And so then like for you to say that like Twitch is like doing a bad job is like I don't really think so.
Well, they're killing their
I mean,
website.
like, one, they've been
Like-
improving, but like yeah, but still like
Have
I think
they?
like in a way like they've kind of maybe in a way they've been more woke. I don't know.
They're killing their
Can I answer
website.
Doobie's question?
Go ahead.
Okay, them killing the website has nothing to do with them like having like with them like incentivizing better behavior.
My whole
from
point,
their
and then I'll shut
streamers.
up, and then I'll shut up. Let me get this point out, and then I'll shut up for
Why
a
do you say
while and
that?
let you guys go with your crazy shit. Okay, and I abuse my mental health live on stream, right? So, what I will say, right, is that when it comes to mandating people's health, who gets to decide? Where do we draw these lines? What is considered unhealthy and what is not? Look, I consider it a little bit unhealthy watching some people come on to a show that are perfectly mentally stable, but watching them yell at each other, watching the blood pressure rise, all these things cause harm, measurable harm, but for some reason, right, we want to draw the line at bedtimes. We want to institute mandatory Twitch bedtime, right? And I don't know why we are going with this nanny state approach when the solution is clear. If you don't like that kind of content, stop watching it. Starve them from oxygen. That's it. Okay.
Wait,
Okay,
so the
go ahead.
solu-
Go ahead,
but
Lactoid. We got
that's
to.
not
I
going
would.
to
I would
stop
let Lactoid.
fucking shit.
Whoa. So
You give me. I react the same way when you start talking to Lactoid.
yeah, is that what happens? Yeah. Doobie. If you have somebody who really enjoys streaming, okay, and they get something out of it, you know, would you agree with me that the most regulation you could argue for that person would be like, okay, you can't be streaming 6 hours, you know, for 6-hour periods per day because we have to have proof that you're sleeping. But if you get tons of enjoyment and like find fulfillment doing this, like it's not harming you to do it the rest of every waking hour. Would you agree with that, Doobie?
What?
So I'm just
'Cause
gonna.
I got to follow up. I
Because
got to
I
follow
can
up.
say,
on this.
hey, this person probably has no like social life or whatever. I can be like a pedantic asshole, but I'm not. Okay, sure. Right? If they're like getting enjoyment, it's not detrimental to their mental health. They're sleeping, they're eating, all this kind of stuff. Sure, fine.
Yeah, great. Or like for like, and plenty of people, including myself, who have full-time jobs on top of what they do on Twitch, or then that's like more like a hobby, and then throwing on other projects that they may be doing, right? All of a sudden their schedule kind of fills up, and maybe they only sleep like 6 or 7 hours a night, right? Or maybe 5 or maybe 4. So there's all sorts of yes. Everybody has like different circumstances here. I think if you're genuinely concerned about people's health, you know, there's sayings that, you know, I'm not sure if it's true. You know, Albert Einstein slept like 4 hours a day. That's just his natural schedule. Some people, you know, I need personally 10 hours, otherwise I feel like shit. Some people need like
I
5.
sleep
I've met
5.
people who, yeah, some people need to have 5. Some people have 4. Human beings are just different. Every person is different. Everyone has different biology. Everyone has different mind, how they function, what they need for happiness, what they need for like self-sustaining, all that stuff. You know, I could see an argument at least, you know, for Twitch, if you want to keep this stuff off your platform, you know, monitor it for this kind of stuff on your platform. And if you see somebody having breakdowns, if you see somebody clearly like sleep deprived and like shaking on stream or something, you know, that's when you can look into like, hey, maybe you got to change your behavior because, you know, you're displaying behavior that's dangerous. Like, for example, like, you know, another example would be like, Twitch doesn't have necessarily rules on like showing off firearms on camera, but if you're doing it in a certain way where it's like threatening to the audience, well, that context is taken into account, and you can't do that. It just seems like just a blanket limit on, okay, you can only stream this amount per day for everybody. When everybody's different, everyone has different schedules, everyone has different hobbies and interests and baseline health, physical and mental. It's just so paternalistic, right? Would you agree?
I think okay. So I think it's fine to be paternalistic. First off, right? I think
It's
it's fine.
and also unreasonable. Would
Secondly,
you agree with that?
No,
I don't think
not
it's
unreasonable.
unreasonable. I don't think it's
Really?
unreasonable
Okay.
to have like
All right.
restrictions. But I want to ask you like so, setting aside the you know hours length of time streaming, right? If somebody were, we have plenty of cases of this that you've seen. Somebody was genuinely having like a mental breakdown on stream. Do you think that Twitch should have some kind of responsibility to shut down that stream? At some level, even if it's somebody reports it to Twitch, says, "Hey, this person is crying for hours, freaking the fuck out on the stream, have like a manic fucking episode. You need to shut this off because this person is self-harming on your platform." And do you think that Twitch should have a responsibility to shut that down?
I mean, my personal philosophy is that if it's a minor, there may be a responsibility there. But if it's an adult, I don't think there should be a legal responsibility. They may find within their own TOS we should shut it down because we don't want that on our stream. I think that can be reasonable, right? Like, you know, just thinking ahead here. But I don't think that should be like legally required because
Okay,
again, like
curious.
because again, like there's people I'll be honest, like there's people streamers who perpetually behave as though they're having a mental breakdown and perpetually behave
a couple of them on the panel,
and perpetually behave
Hey,
as though like they're you know breaking down and having like panic attacks and you know yelling and all this stuff. But if that's just their personality, I don't know. At what point does it become ableist to say, well, no, you're not like what we define as mentally stable enough to do the thing that you love? It's like, well, fuck. Like, I don't know. Like, what if this is the outlet? What if somebody like is better off streaming for their mental health than if they're not? And who are you to make that judgment unless you're their psychiatrist?
Wait, hold on. So first of all, the people who made noises or faces to me saying that we have a couple of those people on the panel right now. Do you have a guilty conscience? It's you that I'm talking about, okay? It wasn't, but now it is because you felt guilty about it. So secondly, so now I'm curious, right? Because you said, hey, if these are like adults or whatever, there's no like, they shouldn't have like a responsibility to come in and say, hey, you're being bad, you're, you know, embarrassing yourself or whatever. So we can't have you doing this. But now I'm curious because like, what if it weren't like this person embarrassing themselves? What if this person was like pushing some like fucking like ISIS propaganda or something, right? On Twitch's platform.
Yeah, we have worse. We have leftists.
True, actually. like up not straightforwardly advocating for violence, but like getting pretty close to it, right? Just advocating for like an enemy of the U.S. on the platform, for an enemy of the U.S. that goes out and does terrorist attacks. And saying, hey, actually, ISIS isn't so bad. Here's a cool merch. Buy your ISIS merch here. Here it is on Twitch's website. Like, do you think that like at some level they should have some responsibility to come and say, hey, you don't get to use our platform to even if though you're an adult of sound mind to advocate for ISIS, right?
Can I interject a real thing that I think everyone would, if they look into it, would be like, no, is problematic. So
Is it
I was
leftist?
It's not politics.
It is.
It's not politics. So I'm sure if you look into it, I think there's like an internet historian video on it too. Wings of Redemption. Jordan.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Right? This guy has done nothing but mental breakdowns on YouTube over and over. His life is ruined.
Eats?
Well, no, that would be like Nick Avocado or whatever.
Oh, that's
right?
Nick Avocado. That's what I'm thinking about.
But that's another example, right? Like there are prime examples of people that the parasocial relationship that they have is clearly unhealthy. Like this dude, Jordan or Wings of Redemption, like he will do FPS shooters to games he hates while the audience does nothing but shit on him because it's funny to watch him freak the fuck out, but he has no concept of how to make money other than doing that. And so he has nothing but constant mental breakdowns or like arguments with Keemstar again and things like that. So like what is the platform's responsibility in what is clearly their platform is facilitating the continued mental breakdown, or in Nick Avocado's example, right? The physical breakdown of this person, right? Like I don't personally see an issue with Twitch or with YouTube or something like that having boundaries that they themselves choose where they create some form of arbitrary limit. The problem I have is how do you determine these things, and are they actually like effective at getting rid of these things, or is it just them wasting money trying to chase problems that will just jump to other platforms? And it seems like everyone's ignoring the pragmatic answer about like the legal concerns of ought, should we not, when I think there are extreme examples where I think we could all agree, yeah, this person shouldn't be on fucking Twitch, and yet they are. And how do we like solve that? Because they're clearly having an issue with the platform, or maybe with the length of time that they're streaming.
Yeah, so I don't know what it's like between like large YouTube creators and YouTube themselves, but I know like for Twitch partners, they have their own, like, is it like fair to say Twitch manager, or like their own mod or something?
For not for all partners blanket, for partners that make a certain level of money, then they can get like a.
Yeah. Okay. So then like it'll be tough to have like say like a middle person for most people, because not all of us are like bringing in the big bucks in order for YouTube or Twitch to be like, yeah, we're gonna give you a middle person. But then like for those kinds of issues, I would suspect that like, hey, if you have like personal mental problems, that like, hey, like Twitch and YouTube banning you or like giving you warnings, yeah, it's not going to solve your issue. You have to like go to a doctor or hospitals, psychiatrist, therapist, whatnot. But then like I know for like a previous example that was brought up, the psychiatrist was aware of this person's streaming on Twitch, and like if there was a way for like these kinds of health professionals to kind of like go through Twitch and be like, hey, I have this patient, and like things like that, you know, like some sort of a report system, then like that might notify Twitch and be like, yeah, you know what, we actually have to do something about this. You know, we looked into it, and there's a problem, and we can't have this on our platform, for whatever reason. It could be for health reasons, morally, or it could be for like, hey, we don't want like our advertisers to see that like we have like this thing going on and things like that. Like that's also pretty bad for the company as well. But I still believe that like for personal problems, like we shouldn't shove, and I'm not saying that anybody else here is saying that or wants to do that. We shouldn't shove top down solutions that could help. Yeah, I'll end it there.
I mean, what would help is making sure no one streams on Twitch, but like in security, there's in information security, there's always a balance between usability and security. So you're not going to have a 100% secure network that is usable by the end user. It's just not going to happen. As soon as you introduce the end user, it is now not a 100% secure network. And so
you
have to. Yes, I am. I'm doing this for a reason. So I'm bringing this analogy. I'm bringing this as an analogy, and I'm trying to explain the analogy. That way, it's understood. That way, I can go into it.
All right.
Okay, awesome, cool. So you're not going to have a 100% secure network as soon as you introduce the end user. And the more end users you have, the less secure it's going to be. The more usable it is for the end user, the more less secure it's going to be. Now, I say that to say this. When you have people streaming on Twitch, it's going to be the same idea that if you've got one streamer on Twitch, it may not be like it may be like the best thing you can get because you can moderate it a lot and stuff like that. But the more streamers you introduce, the more stuff that happens on Twitch, the harder it's actually going to be to implement these kinds of ideas and to make sure that it's followed by everyone. And so the idea that Twitch is going to try and like moderate this solution down is asinine. And first off, it's going to kill Twitch, and second off, it's not going to allow the streamers to do what they want to do. You would have a massive move over to YouTube, and anything that anyone suggested tonight would end with a massive switch over to YouTube, and Twitch would be dead. And then YouTube would most certainly not follow Twitch's footsteps to kill their own platform.
We allow people to make decisions that harm them all the time. We accept a certain level of consensual risk taking upon ourselves, like a certain level of self-harm that we allow in society, that we're okay with in society. We allow people to stay up past their bedtimes, right? This is something that we allow to happen in society. And while, yes, when we look at the extreme situations, yes,
Rick,
I think
we don't care about what is happening.
Absolutely, you should allow people to make choices.
Martial law.
Well, your argument is
You
that
should
it is happening.
absolutely
That's not a
allow
should
people
argument.
to make choices that are detrimental to them. You should allow people that freedom. When you come to extreme circumstances,
why not? Why not?
Why do you allow people?
There
to
are
make
other societies.
choices?
There are other societies which do have more stringent restrictions.
Okay, I cannot speak for tyranny, right? I cannot speak for places that have like authoritarianism. Okay, that's fine,
Okay.
right? But when it comes to stop. Let me finish my fucking point, right? We allow people
Your point
to
is
accept
asinine.
Go ahead.
that we allow people to accept certain levels of self-harm, that they get to choose for themselves. And the reason we do that, right, is because we accept that people are individual actors that are capable of making decisions when they're adults. Now, that is not to say that we do not put limits on extreme things. We don't allow people to do things such as like drink and drive. When a company wants people to work in a dangerous environment, we require that company to provide certain levels of protection for these people who work. Proper PPE, we have OSHA, we have other organizations that help to enforce these things. What we're advocating for with Twitch, right, and what the argument is what level should we allow Twitch streamers to accept risk upon their health? And I think it's absolutely okay for Twitch streamers who choose to stream for 24 hours a day.
Okay. We are not arguing like what is a universal standard for every single issue that pertains to a streamer's health. We're simply like it's just one thing, and that's streaming for excessive amounts of hours. And like, you know what? I'll be fair and honest, and I would hope everybody else is. Does anybody actually know what are like the health risks to staying up for 24 hours? Anybody?
They're minimal given it.
It's minimal.
They're minimal given that you don't do it over and over and over again. They're minimal.
You want to elaborate?
As long as you're not doing it every week, right? As long as you're doing it like once a month or once every couple months, it's
when you're doing it in such a way that it doesn't disrupt your circadian rhythms, right? Like just doing it once is going to have some minimal impact.
I'm pretty sure doing it once already disrupts your circadian rhythm.
Yes, but if you do it regularly over and over again, you're going to have compounding issues.
All right. So then follow-up question. If streamers are doing that for the sake of streaming, does Twitch have any responsibility to stop that?
No.
What? Even though you guys say that like it is dangerous upon like you doing it over and over again, you still say Twitch has no responsibility.
There's plenty of things that are dangerous, right? But hear me out. Let me see if I can give something that everybody could agree would be a positive step forward that wouldn't cost Twitch a ton of money. All right? Twitch launches an ad campaign saying that they care about the Twitch streamers. And what they're going to do is they're going to add just one more button when you report somebody. And you can report somebody for a suspected mental health breakdown or issues that you want them to get help. And what happens is if you get enough reports, Twitch automates and sends you like a link based off of your IP address, where you're streaming from, like a link to local resources if you so want help. And if you get enough, just like anybody that's reported for anything, there's a manual review that is triggered. And there's a small number of staff that specialize in mental health care that can contact you, and instead of banning you, have just a couple of people on payroll. Their job is to be like, hey, you've gotten a ton of reports. We looked at your content. Like, are you having issues? Do you want to talk to someone? We can connect you with resources. Then they go and they put out ads saying, we care about our streamers. We want to make sure that people are happy and healthy in this platform. And this is the thing that we do. And if you come here, we want to let you know that we care about it. They get positive ad. They get a draw from people. They're like, oh, Twitch does give a fuck. Out of the millions and millions that they're making, they have a couple of people on staff, like maybe 10 people that are making $80K a year, right? It's not even $1 million fucking dollars to have, maybe not even them, maybe like 3 or 4, and then other people that are like life coaches or experts that can like elevate however they want to figure it out, so that they can make some money or take a very small amount in the red, and they can actively let people know that. Because I think the issue is that we're trying to find this objective metric whilst also recognizing that there are people with mental health issues on this platform. There are people that are destroying their lives. And like the two can't be bridged because there's no top-down policy of what is excessive, because every person is different. Like Destiny, when he was on Twitch, did 10-hour streams all the fucking time. But whenever he was losing a debate to me, he would get up and go fucking make food, and then he would come back, and like fucking not do anything for 30 minutes and let the stream be its own form of
One
content.
solution.
Whereas some people are super active and like they can only do 3 or 4 hours before they're swamped. They're fucking done.
One
So like
solution that
maybe
I
that's something we could talk about.
I
Well,
agree.
one
That's a
solution-
really good solution.
Yeah, one solution I think that I would be okay with, right? Instead of using the stick and forbidding after a certain time, Twitch does what they do with ad revenue. If you have so much ads, if you play so many ads, right, during an hour, you'll get an extra bonus money. So what if they decided, hey, we really care about these streamers' health, so we're going to incentivize people to stream less. So if you only stream 8 hours a day, you get access to a better cut. Like instead of a 50-50 cut, you get a 60-40 cut. That's the kind of things I would like to see companies do, right, to incentivize healthy behavior rather than punish people for choosing not to engage in those behaviors.
Or
substantive difference here.
Or you incentivize sleeping on stream. So if you are going to stream for a long time, the period of time that you are sleeping, these subs are actually worth more money than when you're awake. Okay, so Twitch incentivizes you to sleep.
You just created a new hot tub meta of
Yeah.
hot girls in yoga pants showing their ass sleeping on stream. That's all you've done is create a sleeping stream meta of fat asses in yoga pants.
And this is why I love
teenagers like,
Sprouticus.
please wake up and notice me.
Sprouticus, he's a dreamer, right? He
I
thinks
dropped
big.
my crown. Pick
So
it
I
up for me,
appreciate you.
please.
Let's
I'm
go
a
to
king.
Doobie.
Hi. So I'm trying to figure out like where the lines are for you guys, right? Because so far it seems like you don't have very many at all. So I'm wondering, right? So it seems like you guys don't really care about like people's mental health, and how it might be affected
Fuck.
by.
I gave a great
No, Scott,
response
not
to
you. Scott, I think that you do, right? But some of the other people here, I think, pretty evidently don't. But so Wick, for example,
Sure.
if somebody was just like cutting themselves on stream, you think Twitch would have a responsibility to shut that down?
Yes, I think mental
Why?
health harm is substantively different than physical harm. Both are dangerous, both can be very, very harmful, but I think it's easier to measure physical harm than it is to mental health harm, right? Like
Yeah,
what
okay,
can
but if
look
somebody-
like mental health breakdowns, or in some cases just how people act and are. And
Dude,
when we
how is like not sleeping not a physical harm?
No, hold on. I'm
Do
getting
you
away
think
from
cutting yourself-
Let Doobie get to where he's
like
trying
if
to
we
get
just
to.
use the Wings of Redemption thing that Scott brought up, right, which I think is a great example of a guy whose community is basically just a bunch of people trying to push him to the edge, trying to hurt him nonstop anytime he's on stream, right? So this person Are you saying that it's not evident that this is like an unhealthy relationship that he has with his community? That when he's streaming and his community is intentionally trying to piss him off by either like a stream sniping him in the games or posting in chat about how ugly and fat and disgusting he is and all this kind of shit. You're telling me that this isn't like pretty evidently harmful to him, to the platform even, and that there shouldn't be some responsibility on Twitch then to say, hey, you don't get to self-harm on the platform, even if it's mental self-harm. You don't get to do it on our platform.
So
right?
if
and so if I don't understand why you would say, hey, this guy actually needs to take a fucking knife to his forearm, start cutting himself before they step in.
Okay, so again, I'm not too familiar with Wings of Redemption, but in the specific examples you provide, has Twitch not provided him moderation tools? Has Twitch not provided him
He's
the
on
tools to
YouTube.
solve this problem? YouTube,
Well,
fair
hold
enough.
on, but he's on.
YouTube
But he's
has provided him these tools, right? Where if he feels he's being
He's been
abused,
banned off of Twitch for being wild because like he
Uh-huh.
loses his shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this, how much of it is play acting?
like,
I
okay,
don't
but Wick,
know.
that person we're both thinking about. I think Lactoid and you are thinking about different people, but I think I know
Oh,
both
maybe.
people that you're thinking about.
Okay.
Right? But I think I know who you're thinking about, and I think it's the same person that I was initially thinking about. But this person, I think, was pretty clearly like in the middle of some kind of like mental crisis for weeks. Like, you're really telling me that they would need to like actually open up their skin on stream for Twitch to step in? Like, plenty of people were actually messaging Twitch on Twitter saying, hey, Twitch, this person needs help. They need to be off the platform. Twitch didn't respond, didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think that Twitch shouldn't have done anything about it, right? I think that I think when you say I don't care about mental health, that's not true. I think that I also care about people's freedom to choose, right? And to choose to be in a space. Like, what other things should we
But if you're mentally
limit?
ill, like, is that
Well,
like
what should we limit mentally ill people from doing? Like, obviously, there are certain things I think we're all okay with limiting them. But when it comes to streaming, right? When it comes to simply turning on a camera, playing games, engaging in political discourse, engaging in panels and things like that, should we not allow mentally ill people to participate because they might be harmed more?
personally, I would say
And which
yes.
mental illness?
I think
And
I think
which
when
mental
it
illness
becomes
is-
evident that their mental state is like not what's the word I'm looking for? They're like is not
Stable.
stable, not healthy, whatever. And the platform or their activity on the platform is contributing to the instability or making it worse. Then yeah, I think we should say, hey, sorry, you can't be on here. And there have been times on Prime stream where we've had some of these people come on and have full on fucking mental breakdowns, and they should just not be on
And
the. They just
Prime
can't.
removes them. Prime removes them from
Yeah,
his
and I
stream.
love
He has
that.
the tools
But if this
Wait,
person,
wait. Do you think Prime shouldn't do that?
Again, I think he should, but he is not Twitch.
He should. Wait,
He's not enforcing it on a
why is
platform like
Prime
that.
able to do that, but you disagree?
You do
when
not
Twitch
see the
does that?
difference between kicking someone out of your house versus kicking someone out of a country.
wait, hold on,
Okay.
but
A small
I want to
so
compare
area
Twitch
versus
as
a
a
larger
country.
area.
Prime
Do you not
Okay,
understand
all
this
right.
comparison?
So
No,
Prime removes one of these
I don't
people,
think.
and they go into
I
their
think
own
you're taking the
stream.
comparison way too far.
Hold on. So Prime removes one of these people, and they go into their own stream, and they're like fucking crying into their bed sheet for like 8 hours straight or something. You really think that like it wouldn't be reasonable for Twitch to say, "Hey, yeah, this isn't healthy. You can't do this."
To
Like,
force
I think
them
it's-
not to stream, I think it is.
So
reasonable.
we're taking examples, right? And this is why I offered a voluntary solution to get people help as opposed to banning off of the platform. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Twitch is going to do what it's going to do, but the problem is that we're taking examples of extreme things that like it's very easy to agree with. The other problem is, do I trust Twitch to determine individuals that are mentally healthy and whether or not they should be removed off of the platform? The same people that have a harmful misinformation policy that's informed by leftist activist fucking organizations, right? The fact of the matter is that if we allow Twitch or we like accept that Twitch should kick people off because of mental issues, then what we're going to have this situation where individuals that are not involved in psychotherapy, that aren't in your life, that aren't in a psychotherapy, like in talk therapy with this person, are going to be determining that certain views and certain people are too crazy or not mentally fit to be here. And it's just going to be another tool of censorship. This is why I
VTubers,
offered, and
right?
this is why I
VTubers are a
offered.
sign of mental
This,
illness, is what will be
this is
decided,
why
and VTubers will be kicked off.
this is why I offer instead that the report feature have something that says this person's having a mental breakdown. Let's give them access to resources, and also kind of like a warning, like, hey, dude, your own viewers are saying that, like, you know, you might be having a fucking mental breakdown. Maybe you should talk to somebody, and an impetus that there might be a problem. And if it's severe enough, a form of manual review where someone steps in and says, like, hey, man, like, it seems like you're having a problem. You should talk to someone. We want you to talk to somebody. We care about you talking to somebody. Here's a way to do that. Hell, I'd even be okay with all of us fucking like taking an incredibly small amount of like some fund that like helps people access these resources as a form of charity. Like I don't care what Twitch does in that regard, because I think it would be helpful to the platform as a whole. But if we're talking about banning people and giving Twitch that more impetus and onus to ban people because of a presumed responsibility about mental health issues, you're going to talk about more flight from the platform and more of an impetus for more censorship, more echo chambers, and more issues.
And what about the
Yeah,
mental health of the people who are banned from these things? Like, right? They're mentally unstable. This is their form of
Yeah,
cope,
when it's
right?
not Twitch's problem anymore, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
we're
when
good.
they are removed
hold
from
on,
this
hold on.
ability to cope,
Do you think
you are
that Twitch
doing
should
something,
be
you're
a
doing
mental
harm
coping
to them.
mechanism? Do you think Twitch streaming should be a mental mechanism for people who have mental issues?
Should it? No. Is it? Yes.
Oh, okay. So then what are you doing
Some
to make sure
people
that it's
have
not?
built,
What are you
especially
going to do to
especially
make sure
during
that
the
it's not?
pandemic.
J-Chow,
What are you
J-Chow,
going to
some
do to make
people-
sure that it's
some-
not?
Some people have a disorder known as social anxiety, right? Or generalized anxiety.
I'm very
disorder.
aware.
And so, right, so if you have social anxiety, it very well may be true that there is a protective factor by not being in the room with someone and not physically speaking to them, but maybe as a form of therapy, it is actually beneficial for you to speak to people, but to do so with that protective factor where you have the ability to immediately in the stream, you're talking through a chat system. This might actually be someone that has mental health issues, uses this in a positive way. Again, this is the problem with blanket bans, is that it doesn't catch the gray areas.
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
I mean,
Sorry, Lacto had your hand
hold on,
up,
hold on. Okay.
and
So
then we'll go to
maybe when
Spartacus.
Doobie and I are like bringing mental health, okay, we're not like being too specific enough. Like we're talking about like obviously the problem of like, hey, we have social anxiety, and like is social anxiety even like considered a mental health issue?
yes, it is.
Centralized anxiety disorder, yes.
Mhm.
It's a form. It's
You
an
were-
anxiety disorder.
You were
Really?
advocating for
I was
banning
actually
people with
diagnosed
social
Okay,
with
anxiety
okay. You know
disorder.
what?
Really?
Today I
That's
learned.
interesting.
Today I learned.
Let's
Okay,
go to.
so then like obviously I think Doobie and I, maybe we weren't clear enough, but like Doobie and I are probably referring to like the kind of people who are like screaming and hating themselves and like maybe even cutting themselves or like talking about like how like them streaming is like is making them like suicidal or whatnot. Like this is not a coping mechanism for them. And like
but
they will
J-Chow,
say,
you
and they
just-
will tell you, they will gaslight you and their audience and say that like, no, I need that life because like my
Cool.
only form of like connection with
Cool,
people.
but you just
okay?
proved that you're not a psychotherapist. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and that there is a lot of gray areas in these things. And
Dude,
I'm
are you a
pointing
fucking
out some of
psychotherapist?
those. I went to grad school for counseling. I just didn't finish my internship. But regardless,
Yo, that's crazy.
but regardless, what I'm saying is there are gray areas, there are issues, and this is some of the unintended consequences that could hurt the platform or just simply not be helpful to certain people.
Dude,
And this is why
aren't there, like,
voluntary
aren't there
systems
unintended
and
consequences
giving
for like
options to
everything?
people help.
Isn't there like always
Yes.
a sliver of a population that are like negatively affected by like some law that benefits like the majority of society? Like
Okay.
I do not think we should
Congratulations,
allow
you
that
just discovered
reason to
voluntarism.
dissuade us from top-down solutions. And like while there may be cracks, it's like
Unintended consequences
could
and things you
also-
don't know about.
So
like,
I
When
wanna-
we
I
have
wanna
a
let him-
law
I
that
wanna
only
let-
hits the minority
let's do it.
population, it's
Let's do
cool,
it.
right? Because it benefits
All right,
the whole.
Like
then,
that, like
then
that,
if you
like
wanna
that, like that,
change
like
my
that, let's
mind,
do it.
then if you want to
Lact-
change my mind, then inform me, dumbass.
Lactoid, and then
I just
Spartacus.
did.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
You just told me that I don't know shit.
Lactoid.
Okay. So Doobie, I here's a general summary of my thoughts here. I don't think you should be able to advertise for ISIS. on Twitch. And the reason is because Twitch is disproportionately made up of children. And I think that there is an argument there to limit the content that children consume. So I could see an argument for legally limiting what Twitch can do or what Twitch allows. There's some responsibility there in preventing Twitch from, allowing people to stream suicide or cutting or, ISIS videos or, that kind of stuff, designated terrorists or organizations, military footage. I can see all that. But absent that, I don't think Twitch should ever be acting within the paternalistic sense towards adults at all. So unless there's like a kind of reasonable line to draw between streamers staying up too late and the mental health of the children watching the stream, unless you can draw that line for me, I don't think that should be a rule, because at the end of the day, it's not Twitch's responsibility to parent you. And I don't think that they have a responsibility legally or even morally. All right. If I want to do something, if I want, to be honest with you, if someone wants to have a public freak out on stream, I don't think that should be, Twitch should be restricted from allowing that. Because again, right. Unless you can like demonstrate some connection to that and like the harm that comes to children, because, protecting children makes sense. But paternalizing adults, I think is wrong.
So a lot of people are saying are saying a lot about actually restricting like mental health breakouts and stuff like that. I'm just wondering that would Amouranth's video fall within your, this is going to be banned off Twitch. Twitch shouldn't allow this. Because if so, how is Amouranth supposed to get what's actually going on out there? Is she's just supposed to tweet out stuff and like tweet out like screenshots of phone, or how is Amouranth supposed to provide her side of the story? Because there are parts in Twitch to where you are upset. This is an upsetting matter for you. This isn't something that's like just that you're just kind of, it's all okay. It's actually upsetting, but you need to let your fans know what's going on because you're consistently being lied about. So, to the people that are saying like, restrict mental health, would that include like what Amouranth's stream was when she was calling out the fact that she was being abused? Which, ask any abuse victim, it's going to be extremely emotional to call out someone who's abusing you.
Well, I think the initial stream, no, but if she went like day after day having like 5-hour-long streams of her husband screaming at her, and while she's having like a fucking breakdown, I don't think that should be allowed on the platform.
Chow?
Good answer. I'll stick with it.
Is it because it's because of the effect on the audience, or is it because you're genuinely concerned about Amouranth's, or is it a mix of both?
Both.
Both for sure. Like,
and
like,
how
even if it was a
policy?
person, and like, hold on, and even if it was a person who had like 0 viewers, like I still would be concerned about that streamer.
And how would this be
Like,
put into policy?
You can be concerned.
Is it that the first stream you're crying and upset about it, and the first stream it happens, it's okay, but any subsequent streams it's no longer okay? How exactly is this planned to put into policy?
Let
to
me,
where
let me,
it's actually
let me try to help you.
Somebody crying. I don't think somebody crying on equals they're having a mental health like breakdown.
Amouranth clearly was.
Let me try to add to you, Spartacus. Let me try to add to that. Right? What if this a rape victim, right? As someone who has survived sexual assault, and what their stream is about is talking about that, right? Like for the benefit of others. But like in the process of doing so, they regularly get upset, because they're thinking of the trauma that they suffered, right? So they're going through like a PTSD experience. But the point of this stream is to talk about that trauma. And then maybe by other people who want to share their trauma as well. Is it should Twitch allow that?
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah, I think yes, 100%.
I don't think we should ban Dr. K. Roger.
DB,
you know what I mean? Like,
sorry. Yeah.
I think I would say, yeah, it should be. And I don't think, because I think it's like, if you just have like random ass people doing it, right? Yeah, they're like survivors or whatever, but they're just random ass people. You know, who's to say that the way that they're presenting, you know, what happened to them or how to deal with what happened to them is like healthy for them and for the audience. It's going to be learning from these streams or tending to learn from these streams. I think when you're dealing with something like that, you need to have like professionals involved at some level. And Dr. K, I think the issue with him is that I'd have with him is that there is like a perverse incentive when it comes to Dr. K to like pull out the drama, right? Because it makes for a good stream, because he wants subscriptions, because he wants eyes on the platform. And if you're like using other people's trauma to build an audience, I think that's pretty fucked.
But what about when you use your own, right? When it's your trauma that you're going through, you want to tell your story, you want to share your experience, you want to educate people on what's helped you or what's hurt you, right? I don't think Twitch, right, should be able to stop you from telling your story. Should be able to ban you if you decide
Well, what about
to tell your
ISIS's story, man? What about ISIS's story? They
Well,
got
what
something
if-
I don't think
So-
ISIS stuff should be banned on
Doobie,
this
Doobie,
platform.
if
So
somebody said-
What?
Doobie,
So
if-
wait. What if?
Phil,
What if?
this
so,
is crazy.
So what if I went? What if I went through a
Based
part of?
Wick.
I did not expect
What
that.
what if I went through like a part of my life where I was extremely suicidal, right? And so then like suicide becomes like an extremely important issue to me, right? And so I have a stream talking about like how when I was suicidal, like what helped, and obviously it's gonna be an emotional topic for me. And then I'm also providing like suicide hotlines, right? So it is extremely helpful to the people that are watching that are experiencing like suicidal tendencies. So
Well,
it,
I'll do
this
you a step
this would
better.
okay, do
with
a step
data,
better.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
When asked in surveys, like self-report surveys, like when they've had a positive general life satisfaction survey after kind of overcoming suicidality, the most popular answer to why someone didn't actually go through with the suicide attempt or why they weren't like very serious about it was that they had someone else that they felt depended on them. And so, like, it's usually a pet, like a dog that they need to walk because the dog also gets some vitamin D, gets them out of the house. But if they have like a parent or a grandparent or a sister, someone that they feel depends upon them, it is entirely possible that there are people out there right now on the platform who are suicidal that may have occasional mental breakdowns or hide it. And the reason that they don't kill themselves is that they feel that they have a limited community on Twitch that like they engage with, that they feel needs them in some capacity. And that's a reason that they go, well, you know what? I'm thinking about killing myself, but I'm going to stream tonight. I'm going to talk about this thing. It's
Social
that one day at a
relationships.
time.
Social
Right.
relationships
So
are super
you actually
important.
could. This is the unintended consequences issue, is that you actually could end up having people that commit suicide as a causal action to the fact that you banned them off of Twitch because of their mental health breakdown. When instead, what we should be doing is, instead of creating these arbitrary things for banning because we think, or some moderation staff or somebody presumably thinks having mental health breakdown, what they should be doing is they should be offering services to these people to prove that they do indeed care, to prove to make the platform a better place, but not to like have these unintended consequences and push people off platform.
And let's just real quick, let's talk about the weaponization that happens on Twitch with these things. Like when you make this a bannable offense, suddenly you're incentivizing groups of people to actually advocate and try to get people to make a mental breakdown on stream so they can mass report and break them down. This happens. Well, I'll tell you a story that happened
Talk
recently.
shit while they can't respond.
Someone.
Wait, this applies to
No,
literally
let me
everything on
finish
the-
my story. It's
right?
important, and then you can
This does
respond.
not
So
literally
one
apply to
man,
everything on
there's
the
a man who was
TOS.
called a
Jeez.
slur, right? There's a man who was called a slur, and everyone laughed that he got called this slur and things like that. And he found out, he watched this happen, right? A bunch of people call him this slur, and live, on their little voice call, right? And then he angry about this, he was on his live stream talking about how these people called him a slur. He made the mistake of using the slur on Steam. So those same people who called him a slur reported him for using that slur and got him banned. This is how this shit is weaponized on Twitch right now. This is happening right now. So when you make
It's like
mental
streamers
health
gotta be careful
breakdowns,
about what they
when
say.
you make mental health breakdowns
What?
a bannable offense, suddenly they have a new weapon in their belt that they are going to use, and they are going to try to get people who are susceptible to mental health breakdowns to break down so that they can ban them.
But
Because
you
it's
also
funny.
believe that ISIS streaming
I do.
like shouldn't be like a bannable offense as well. Like I literally have no idea what kind of
I
like,
understand you don't
you have like
understand it,
no
and
limit.
that's
So like
fine.
literally this.
What do you think?
Literally, like
That's
I already
your
told you
responding to his
stream,
argument,
and you'll be like,
kid.
you know what?
Like,
That's fine. Okay,
I already
so
told
like,
you the limits I have.
everything under the sky
I've already
is
told you
acceptable for
limits.
you. Okay.
If someone is cutting themselves or like shooting themselves or something
Is
on
that-
stream, I'm not okay
is that
with
really your argument? Is to say I can't deal with the argument you just gave, so I'm going to say you have no limit as a means to meme and make fun of you? Like
you
what a
literally,
bitch
you literally
move.
can't do.
What-
You literally can't.
Like
Please, if everything is acceptable to a person, and there's absolutely no way of convincing them otherwise, correct?
what?
What? Okay, whatever.
You said if someone is
It's fine,
susceptible and
it's
there's
fine, it's fine.
you cut
Hey,
out
Scott,
literally no.
do not go into this meta conversation. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
What meta conversation are you bringing up? What are you talking
Sure.
about?
Okay.
The
I
one that
think
you're bringing
okay. All right. I don't know.
No, you pivoted like
I
a bitch.
don't know anyone knows what anyone's talking about though. Okay. So thanks for that. This was interesting. Hey everyone. We are going to continue on to a more panel. We still have content after this, and I think we'll some people will want to comment on the topics we've been discussing
Enough,
here.
guys, go to bed. You've been streaming too long.
That's
Go to
true.
bed.
That's true. I have been. That's
How
true.
long have you been streaming?
Your Twitch bedtime's coming up.
4 hours. I've been streaming 4
Yeah,
hours.
you're fine. My
But yeah. So anyway, hit that follow button. Hit that follow button right now. If you've been, if you're in the audience, right, we still have more content for you. If you're new, hit that follow button. We love to have you. We do this all the time. Yeah. So, actually, maybe I'll yeah, Meow. But anyway, hit us up on social media, Twitter, Discord, TikTok, and YouTube. Is where you find the VODs. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to have you. Okay. So yeah, if you've just found this channel, hit that follow button. We're happy to you'll find more of this here, which is I'm not sure if that's a good thing, right? Maybe we should have a mental health review of this channel, I think. So we're gonna give an outro to all our great individuals here, but then we'll have more content. We'll have an open panel after this. So Lactoid, thank you for stopping by and like continuing your streak as incidentally the most sober.
I believe in you.
The sober and calm individual.
You got this.
Here. So
support your mental health. You can get through it.
Lactoid. Yeah, thank you for being you as usual. And not like descending to madness with the rest of us.
Yeah, man. I got something to admit. I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, and if you factor in how much I've been working, combined with the streaming, it's well over 12 hours. I do ask that Twitch not ban me. I don't think Twitch should legally have to.
Okay,
ban
sorry, I'll do the responsible thing.
Very, very nice. So, Twitch should please don't ban me, Twitch or Prime. Thank you. Because ultimately, I don't think that these platforms should serve as someone's psychologist, psychiatrist, or their parental figure. There likely is some responsibility to protect children from content in the same way we can't broadcast porn on Twitch. I think that's probably a good idea. Although, there's arguments about what constitutes porn in this fucking, maybe even regarding this fucking topic. But regardless, there's certain things in which we just can't show, not necessarily because we're super concerned about like the porn stars, whether or not what they're doing is good for their their mental health, or if that industry is even something that anyone should be involved in, because we don't want children looking at that. So that's generally I guess the synopsis of my point. um, I thought it was a lot of good points as usual. If you liked what I had to say, you can find me on Anti-Communism United, Discord, and Twitch. Thank you everybody who talked to me. You guys were all really cool. Doobie, I thought you had some interesting points when it came to, what even counts as self-harm, right? And then the counterpoints to that of, what happens if you fuck up and you try to stop the self-harm, but you do something worse. I thought those counterpoints were also really interesting. So, no, thank you everybody.
Thank you so much, right? And no, I don't want Twitch to ban adult material, right? The masochistic feelings I get when Scott comes on and he lectures me on economics, right? Like that drives me. That drives me. That's why I always have him here. All right. Scott, please give me more, please.
So today on PrimeCayes' panel that should be titled Chest Day, we learned that the people that are millionaires as voice actors are also part of the proletariat, so long as they fight against the more money having millionaire capitalist class. And we learned that Amouranth is an Amouranth, and that J Child really doesn't want us to stay up past our bedtime. I am Fabian Liberty. I'm Scott from Fabian Liberty. We're a duo stream. You should check us out. You can find us Fabian Liberty pretty much everywhere. Tomorrow we'll be talking to Transition Radio, so they can take me to task in certain ways. We'll see how that goes. And Friday, Doobie, Carrie Smith, Horror Amarada, we're going to get together and we're going to talk about the Satanic Panic and things like that on the lead up towards the end of this wonderful month of October of girls in yoga pants and pumpkin spice and scary things. Had a blast.
Thank you some more. Thank you so much. Excuse me, Scott, for all of it. We'll go to our friend Wick. Wick, thank you for being here. Right. Look, if I didn't have like bald white man on my street too, again, like where am I supposed to get my jollies? All right. So thank you for being here, friend.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, gang. My name is Wick. You can find me at twitch.tv/deathofcertainty, all one word, no spaces or anything like that. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do my open call-in show. Get it off your chest, where you, yes, you, can call in and tell me why you hate what I've said, or you like what I've said, or why I'm totally wrong, or whatever, right? Cause me to have a mental breakdown if you can, right? It's like a challenge. But at the end of the day, we look at these things and we talk about censorship, and we have to remember this is a weapon of bullies. It's a weapon of people who want to bully certain ideas and certain people off of a platform that they don't like. Now, some cases, right, when it comes to like things like people actually harming themselves or child pornography and things like that, okay. But for almost all cases, right, this is not something that we should put in the hands of corporations or governments. That we should, if we do not like content, simply advocate against it, but not try to get it to be shut down by using the tools of oppressors, right? Because it is a tool of oppression. That's me, twitch.tv/deathofcertainty. Come through, gang. It's a great fun time. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Call in, see what you have to say.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, next we'll go to our friend Jay Chow. Jay Chow, we don't have you here often, but I always enjoy having her friend. And I've missed you.
I don't think anybody else enjoys having me on. It's only you,
Oh,
man.
there's
What's
not the
up?
channel, so fuck them, right? I'm
man.
the only one that matters here, as in life in general. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah, so a couple of key takeaways. Okay, like don't excessively drink like alcohol or like even sugary drinks. Like diabetes is an issue, okay? Don't like excessively smoke, okay? Lung cancer, like whatnot. Don't like constantly go into like sleep deprivation. Streaming is not worth it. Maybe like if you do it once in a while, that's okay, but like it's not healthy. It's self-harm, I think so. And I think like, for people who are saying that like government policy is like the tool of oppressor, like you're kind of just you're shoving everything that is like systematic policy wise, every single law that like structures society and makes sure that like bad shit doesn't happen is all tyranny, in which it's not. Like, there are ethical ways of implementing these kinds of policies, and I understand that like it's not perfect, because that's just reality. Not all policy is perfect, and the reason why, and like just the policy side of it is just one way of like implementing a solution, and I don't think it's the only way of implementing a solution, but I don't think it should be shoved on the rug just because like it's being called tyrannical, or just because it's not perfect. Like, and especially for something like, you know, when we cannot, when the market forces cannot solve a particular solution, then what is an option? What may be needed is top-down intervention, and I think that is a valuable tool. I'm Jay Chow. I study political science. That's maybe why I think this kind of way, top-down, is like one way of doing things, which is of course different than what Lactoy, who studied the same thing, and he thinks differently, or has like a different angle at things. You can find me on twitch.tv/jchildlife.
Okay. All right, so let's go to our friend Sprouticus. Sprouticus, as always, I always love having you here. You're a fun guy, and I think you add a lot to this panel. Please.
I appreciate being here. You can find me at Sprouticus on Twitch and Twitter. For the first topic, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna cry about someone getting $250 an hour after they didn't voice act for 8 years. That's not something I'm really gonna cry about. But for the second topic, I think that is important for us to be able to share what is deepest down within us, and to create that emotional connection with other people, even if it is sharing something that was very traumatic that happened to you, and even if it is for the benefit of other people, so that way they know that they're not alone and they have someone they can talk to if need be. I think that's important, and I think that if I'm against banning people for mental breakdowns, but if we are going to ban mental breakdowns, it has to be like a repeated behavior, to where that's about all they do is they go on and have mental breakdown, and it's over absolutely nothing. But again, that's so non-enforceable of a rule that I don't think that should be a rule at all. So I think that in the order of keeping it to where people are able to share traumatic experiences that they have, and be able to try and make that connection and kind of say, hey, you're not alone, I've been there too. To make sure that that is still available on Twitch, is to make sure that people aren't banned for that. And if you want to stream for 24 hours, go ahead.
And last but not least, we have our Dark Lord and Savior Doobie. Doobie, this was really great. I didn't know, because again, I'm completely disconnected social media. I didn't even know about the Amouranth thing until Doobie told me. So I thank you, Doobie, for kindly informing me, or else I would have learned on stream. When everyone else like, oh, what's happening? But Doobie, it was an interesting topic. And I think a really good labor topic. I love being able to relate these things back to something real life, rather than just like focusing on trauma, personal trauma, like on political trauma. So talking about labor issues, I think, is always a good time. All right, that's what gets me off. Right, I know another one of my fetishes. But thank you so much, Doobie.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Doobie. I help run the politics server on Discord. Discord.gg/politics. We had Martin Shkreli on this past weekend. I think we've got somebody this weekend. I can't remember. We do all kinds of crazy shit. The best and biggest politics server on the platform. You will find me there, and also on Scott's stream on Friday. Should be a good time.
Thank you so much. Then thank you, my man Wick, for being so kind, doing so for Prime Gaming sub. You're a great guy, and I always appreciate your support. You know, doesn't matter what the differences are. Like, you've always been great to me, and I want you to know I always appreciate that. All right, so thanks so much, everyone. We will continue on. We'll come down right after this. For all members like you, yes, you sitting at home and debate. So stick around for that. Anyone here can join us. We'd love to have you. All right, but if not, that's spending your time, your energy, your knowledge, and your passion. My community, I know they appreciate it. Just bye.
Bye.
Sprout.
Yeah.
If you're ever